What's up, everyone? CountBlagorath here with an album review, this time of the 2012 Nuclear Blast Records release of Manala by Korpiklaani. If you're not familiar with Korpiklaani, they are a six-piece Finnish folk metal band, and they're known for playing a very upbeat, more happy style of folk metal that is very much based in the traditional Finnish folk or polka, also known as humppa. And if anyone knows me in real life or even is a good friend of mine on the internet, they know they are my favorite band of all time. And I was extremely excited for this new album. I mean, in fact, I have every single album of theirs. I'm just a massive, massive fan. Even bought Corbin's Kungus twice. But when this album was announced, I was extremely excited, and I had high expectations for it because, if I'm to be honest, Ukonvaka really disappointed me. It was a good album, it was very catchy, and it was a fun record, but it just lacked that certain replayability element that all their other CDs had. And especially Tervaskanto, in my opinion, is the pinnacle of their career. And along with Corbin Kungus, I think those two records are the best ones they've done. And then after that, they just kind of went on a kind of a decline. So I was really hoping they'd make a return with this album, and they definitely have. This album is much more of a serious sounding record. There's no fun drinking songs on here like there is on the past releases. So don't look for another tequila, another vodka, another let's drink, happy little boozer, bring us pints of beer. Don't look for any songs like that. Look for more serious sounding, real folk metal songs. And heavily, once again, based in that humppa sound. And this album is almost atmospheric at times with the song Husky Sledge. That song is pretty much straight up neo-folk music, which is very cool, with a minimalist style of the violins. But when I say this is a serious album, it's still fun, especially with the opening track, which is one of the singles from the album, Kunia, or Honor. This song is very upbeat, catchy, fun to listen to. You'll find yourself singing along to it. Even if you don't know Finnish, you'll sing along to the Finnish version. If you somehow don't like the Finnish version and you want the English version, you'll sing along with that one. It's just a very catchy, upbeat, fun song. And that's the opening track. But as the album progresses, it gets more and more serious. Once when track 2 hits, you really realize that this is not the standard Korpiklaani album that most people associate with them. This is much more of a serious affair. And the music has this very somber sort of sound, but it's still nothing depressing, which is very cool. The guitar has some very heavy moments, especially on, I believe it's track 4 or 5. It has one of the heaviest riffs that Korpiklaani has ever done, especially since the final track on Karkilo. And I was very shocked by that. But they kept that heaviness balanced out with the violin and the accordion, which is what I love Korpiklaani for. And the balance between the heavy guitar and the lighter side of the folk is a very interesting duality, and that's what I've always loved about them, and they've really expanded on that even more with this album. The bass is perfectly audible. The mix is amazing on this. This is probably the best production they've had yet. It's just as good as Ukonvaka. I personally think the mix is a little bit better because the guitars seem a little bit louder, the bass is a little bit louder, it's a little bit more about the metal than the folk, which is a very cool thing, because I've always thought they were a solid metal band even without the folk instruments. And some people feel like they've relied on the folk instruments way too much over the years, but I personally find that to be part of their sound and their charm. The drums are just perfectly recorded, very well played, extremely well played. some of the best drum work on here. It's still the basic Korpiklaani style, Motorhead-esque, little bit of thrash metal here and there, but it's a very unique style, and it's rooted in more hard rock music, but it still sounds very good, and it works very, very well for the music that's happening. The folk instruments are just great sounding. Violin and accordion. I'm not too sure if there's anything else used. The acoustic guitar is used at a couple points, and that sounds amazing. It has the best acoustic sound I've heard since Agaloc's The Mantle. Just very, very great sounding stuff. The violin definitely is the major instrument when it comes to the folk instruments. The accordion is definitely there, and a great example of that is the first song that was released from the album, which I believe is called Metzaselli or something like that. I'm not 100% sure on the title, so if I said that wrong, please correct me. I'm sure I did. The accordion is still extremely dominant in the music, but the violin is there a little bit more, which I tend to like better. So overall, that's a very good thing. Now, when it comes to the vocals, this is a very strange thing with this album. Yone is a fantastic vocalist, and a lot of people complain about his kind of like snarl sort of vocal, and a lot of people do not like the English versions of songs or the English songs because his accent is so thick. And over the course of time, they kind of abandoned English lyrics and stuck with Finnish. And I like that because it sounds more natural for them, but that's not the Korpiklaani I fell in love with. I fell in love with the broken English of You Looked Into My Eyes, featuring one of my favorite Korpiklaani lines. I, alone with an old pine tree, asked me, where's your woman? I said, shut up, or I'll make of you another firewood. I mean, it's just ridiculously broken English. And, I kind of missed that. I missed the broken English and the very thick Finnish accent, which a lot of people didn't like, but I absolutely love. And that's the very cool thing about this album, is the deluxe edition comes with a bonus disc with the entire album in English. So you have the Finnish version, which is how everyone's going to hear it. And if you buy the deluxe digipack, it has the bonus disc of entirely in English, which is a very cool thing to hear, because the Finnish, of course, sounds more natural for them, but I really love that English that Finnish accent over the English lyrics. I think that adds to the atmosphere just as much as the Finnish lyrics do. So when this album comes out on the 3rd, definitely pick up the digipack version of this, because it's a very, very unique sound that I wish more bands would do, because that's a very cool concept, and I like that they took the time to write the lyrics in Finnish and English. So definitely look for that. Overall, as a score, I'm gonna have to give this album a solid 9 out of 10. This is definitely a return to form. Definitely reminded me of the Corvin Kungius era of Korpiklaani, which is probably my favorite era along with Tervascanto. So definitely an album that if you felt like Korpiklaani's kind of slipped off in recent years, this definitely has put them back on the right track, and I hope they continue in this fashion. Maybe the next album I hope to be a little bit more, have a few drinking songs on it, because I love those songs, but for this album being as serious as it is, this is absolutely fantastic. I recommend you all check this out and buy it when it comes out. Definitely pick up the deluxe edition, because I sure as hell will. And yeah, that's all I have to say. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And as always, keep it metal.